Okay. Uh, Working at the TRRC is certainly a challenge.
Yeah.
I would imagine because even me that doesn't work there, that don't work there, when I go to sleep sometimes, I have nightmares about the TRRC, in which I am seeing, okay, the witness is narrating their stories. How does this feel? Sitting there and listening to people telling you, I killed this person this way, I put a plastic bag over his head, I shot him this way, we kick him, we cut them into pieces, we did these things. How does that feel?
It's horrible and traumatizing. We ourselves are traumatized. Maybe people have not recognized it. Sometimes I suppress it. I cried many times. Well, that's nature. If I see people, I don't mind so much if you are inflicting anything on me. That doesn't impact on me so much as when you are inflicting it on someone else, an innocent person, a weak somebody who doesn't have any means to retaliate, to confront or whatever, harmless somebody, like in the case of the then Minister of Finance, Koro Sise. This guy is very harmless. This guy has been characterized with all the virtues that you can praise a good person. A potential Gambian young man also has been killed in cold blood and burnt in. So these things are traumatizing, definitely. And sometimes they tend to agitate your emotion. Yes, you, on the other hand, it's your obligation and your responsibility to control these emotions. But this is in challenge and in confrontation with nature, which is responsible of your instincts and your feelings and so on. So to match, to marry them and match a compromise, sometimes you are not perfectly all right in it. So here and then, some flaws can occur. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people say that, like I said, they call the TRRC a witch hunt and lose credibility based on certain things that are happening recently, obviously, with the junglers case and everything. Whether it is your area or not, but people are losing hope on the commission based on the release of the junglers and everything else. So, what is your take on that?
It was not TRRC's decision to release the junglers. Of course, we aren't completely unaware because this was on the public media. The Minister of Justice said we plan to or advise that the junglers are released. That prompted a lot of reactions and people and sentiments, particularly on the side of the victims. So that brought about some concern, and we had a brief meeting with the minister. One, to make sure it has always been made clear that TRRC has not been responsible of the decision, but also that let caution be taken that the fears people have are considered. Some people believe they don't trust living with these junglers at all. How do we manage this concern? Some believe the junglers may go out or there or whatever. If the minister will do it with caution, fine. If it's his decision, if he can't manage it properly, fine. But it wasn't TRRC decision, and we have never subscribed to it. Yeah, it was exclusively the decision of the minister, if not the government. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are your biggest challenges working at being a commissioner and working at the TRRC? No, it's long hours starting 10 o'clock, going all the way to 4, 5 o'clock, sometimes even longer than that. What are some of the challenges you face at the commission?
For us, even after 5 o'clock, our debriefing starts after we have closed with people.
And this is done
on the
every
screen.
day?
Every day, daily. That's daily debriefing. And then we come a little earlier than you see us on the television so that we will make some briefing, pre-hearing briefing and so on. So it entails a lot. But the most challenging part of it is sitting down and listening to horror. That's a very challenging part. Sitting down, listening to horror. Yeah, the narrations and so on. That is very challenging. Otherwise, to me, I'm not saying it so much challenging. I think it's normal duty. It's a national duty. You have to be vigilant. You were trusted for your honesty. You have to be honest. Your challenge is to bring about healing. You have to make up some efforts. You know, after this, there are, like, when we sit for 3 weeks, the 4th week, we use as committee meetings, outreach program, and so on. Because our ultimate aim is to bring about healing in the Gambia, to promote reconciliation, and also create avenue for reparations. Yes, of course, there are provisions, but we are yet to that, and that will be a comprehensive package and so on, where we are also empowered to recommend prosecutions. We are also empowered that's a very big challenge, to recommend amnesty and so on. These are critical things. Of course, thank God we are guided by some policy and principles that people whose attitude and behavior or actions constitute to gross human rights violations may not or would not enjoy such privileges. The other challenge we have is people who have been, on whom such atrocities have been inflicted on. Managing them and helping them to calm down, to cope and whatever, are all challenging. But indeed we are managing, and we are hopeful that we will have a good result at the end of. We are to make a midterm review, which is coming just next 3 months. November, December will be yes, alongside, actually, simultaneously, some reports have been put down. The framework of the report is established, and there are some things being inputted. So the last 2 months will be trying to actually consolidate it, improve it to the standard we will require it to be, including the recommendations embedded, and hand that over. That's the first step. This step may include some recommendations that will gear towards amnesty or whatever, or prosecution or whatever. But nonetheless, by the end of our assignment, we are expected to put up a comprehensive historical data that
of the human rights
violations that have been taking place in the time, the types, the propensity or whatever, and then we make recommendations as to various things, reparation, including restitution and others.
Commissioner Kinteh that you're very stubborn at the commission, and you've been addressed a lot. You get addressed than any other commissioner and the like. That some people even recommended that Commissioner Kinteh just need to go because of your aggressiveness and everything else. I mean, is it true that you've been addressed so many times and you continue to be addressed?
No.
For your behavior?
No. I don't think I've been continuously addressed. People have different opinion. I absolutely agree. But I'm professional with the job. I said yes, the emotional weaknesses are one side. But naturally, I believe I've been very honest with my dealings. And the greatest worry would have been the victims, because the TRRC is victim-centered. I think those people who are observing this way should have been looking at both sides. When victims narrate, Commissioner Kinteh will cry more than any other commissioner.
Okay.
If that is the case, if perpetrators tend to tell lies, we may not be surprised that he may be more confronting than any other commissioner.
So your reaction is usually victim-centered. You are doing it, I mean...
yeah, when they are victims, I hardly... In fact, I'm crying along with victims. In some instances, I'll cry while the victim doesn't even cry. That's one, because it is victim-centered. We have to give the victim the due. That the victimization, in some instances, the magnitude, the nature, whatever, definitely is regretting. For the perpetrators, why don't you come out to tell us the truth after you have done all what you have done to your fellow Gambians? Especially when you promise you that there may be some merits you can enjoy. Why don't you have to show remorse?
But it's tough. As they always say, I mean, it's very tough to sit and admit I did this ntele karifa nga judo le ka kangola nga mbuso le ka dunga kangola nga bonkido la nga kuntun kuntun. That is very tough to admit.
Yeah, but Nemo admit this the ultimate result. This one is better because your punishment may become mild. Right? The level of punishment that may be vetted on you. You may even not be punished, depending on the circumstances. But nonetheless, the Gambians need the truth from you. You show it with remorse, with regret, and that's it.
Dolko, some people say, Commissioner Kinteh smokes weed and comes to the sittings high. That's how you act. Because you come to the sittings, after you smoke weed.
Mashallah, what a tuanyati. I smoke cigarette though.
Say it in English.
That's not true. If I'm accused of smoking weed before I come to the sessions, that's never true. That's not the truth. I smoke cigarette though, you know, that's my hobby and so on. But that's not true. People will come with stories, various stories, different stories, but that's not true.
Overall, you think the commission is good for the Gambia? The TRRC is good for the Gambia?
Yes, certainly TRRC
Some people think it divides the Gambians more than it brings us together.
No. I don't think that's the case. I think people, look, even the people who are against the commission, the revelations and whatever, eventually a good number of them are siding with the commission. When the junglers came. And we could not also relate this to witch hunt. Because when you talk about witch hunt, who is being hunted, Jammeh used all the ethnic groups. It used almost all the categories of people. So you cannot call it a witch hunt. People are narrating their stories. They have not been forced to narrate these stories. Of course, yes, sometimes they have been scrutinized to narrate, like for verification and so on, for avoiding telling lies and so on. But that's actually not the case. We are not witch hunting anyone. We just try to get the truth from the perpetrators in particular, and we would expect them to tell the truth and indicate remorse. When they do that, we hardly interrogate so much. But if they fail to do that, I'm not sure whether it's right to say we may have to squeeze the truth from them.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kinteh. You are watching the Nyohobai Show on the Gambian Talents TV. Like I said, Commissioner Kinteh is my guest. You've had some clarification on a lot of the issues. Not only clarification, but even things that he has done for the Gambia as the first president of the Gambia Student Union, GAMSU. I mean, the developmental projects that he brought to the Gambia, the experience that he brought in, changes that he made working for the Department of Ministry of Agriculture, and all other achievements. We will take another break and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.